Hey, everybody, and welcome to RVing in New England. Today is Wednesday. It's December 12th. It's cold outside. It's just a couple weeks before Christmas. We want to take this moment to wish you all a very, very, very Merry Christmas and let you know that my name is John DePietro, as you can see. I'm here alone tonight. Bob Zagami, our co-host and producer of the show, is keynoting at an industry event up here in the Northeast. And for the first time in a year, we weren't able to get on the show together, except for the time that he went to Italy during June and then had his surgery a little bit after that. But it's my pleasure to welcome you here. We've got a great guest tonight. We're going to show you how to save money and save money for a long period of time. And I'm going to go right to our guest to bring him up right now. He is a two-time guest on our show. His name is Joel Holland, and Joel is the CEO of Harvest Host. Joel, welcome back to RVing in New England. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hey, John. Thanks for having me back. I had a blast with you guys last time, so I'm sure we're in for a good show as always.
We're having a good show because you've got some exciting new things that you've put together since we talked to you. I think it was in late June or early July. And since that time, I became a user and a member of Harvest Host, and I'm all excited about that. But before we get into my specific stories, first of all, we want to welcome Walter. And Walter is the president of Massachusetts Good Sam, and I'm sure that you've run into the Good Sam people all over the country, Joel. But tell us a little bit about what Harvest Host is all about. Sure.
Yeah. So Harvest Host is basically just a way to make your RVing a little more unique. And to me, it's a complement to your existing routine. You're typically traveling around the country, staying in nice campgrounds and national parks and that sort of thing. But what my wife and I found was that we would drive by all these beautiful wineries and farms and breweries and golf courses and wonder, why can't we boondock here? Like, wouldn't it be nice to go taste some wine, maybe taste a little more wine than we should, and not have to drive anywhere, and then stay on this property? So
taste some wine.
Yeah.
And taste a little more wine than we should.
Yeah.
And eliminate that drive out of the winery.
That's it. Because here's the thing. You go to a winery, you want to try them all, right? I want to try the red ones, the white ones, the pink ones. And so typically it's this like debate over who's driving, right? Someone's got to stay sober, which is smart, but not fun. Yeah. And so, we now have with Harvest Host. So with Harvest Host, we have over 1,000 locations total, but over 300 wineries specifically, and they're all over the country. And so you can, as a member, you can stay at any of our locations for free. You pay an annual membership fee. Right now it's $49 a year, and you can go and stay at these hosts for free, enjoy their products.
Time out. You pay $49 a year, and then you pay what? $49 per night?
Nope, no fees. Yeah, so that's the beauty of the program. You pay one fee, no more fees.
Okay. This is one of those too good to be true things. You pay a membership fee, and then what? You get a membership card and you get a password to a website, something like that, and then you pick out the place.
That's right. You can search by route, by location, by type. Yep.
And you stay for free.
Yes. Now the too good to be true part is, and it's important that we bring this home. The reason that these hosts are being generous and allowing us to stay on their properties is that they want to share their products with us. Mm-hmm. And so what we have a code of conduct, and one of the key pieces is remember how much you're saving from staying at a traditional campground, and give a part of that back to your host. Buy their wines, try their products, buy some produce, and support your host. So it really is, what I love about the program is it's fun for the RVer, but it's also a really nice way to support local businesses.
Now, is squeezed grapes considered produce?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, okay. and healthy, because there's antioxidants in them. Okay. So you're really just doing your body a favor.
Okay, so I want to go back and show our audience that website. I jokingly say, wait a minute, you got to pay $49, because when I first heard about it last year when we talked, actually I should say I heard about it a couple years ago with the prior owners, but I was thinking that you had to pay a fee every time, and it was only for wine connoisseurs. But that's not the case at all. So I want to make sure I present this properly to our audience. HarvestHost.com is a membership organization where people who are RVers, self-contained RVers, and that's important to say, right, Joel?
It's very important, yes.
If you're traveling to a certain area, or you're going through a certain area on your way to somewhere else and don't necessarily need the full service offerings of a campground, or there's no campground near the area that you're in, you can check your listing for Harvest Hosts, and based on a space available basis, stay there at no cost.
That's right. Yeah, and one of the ways that I use it, so I do a lot of cross-country trips in the RV, and I will I'll route it out so that I'll stay a few days in a campground, and then I'll be ready for a more unique experience, and I'll find a host on the route, and you're boondocking, but it's usually, it's for one night. Some of the hosts will invite you to stay longer, but we can all boondock for one night. And what you get from it, I mean, I was talking to you about this earlier, but I went to New England this past September, and I stayed at the Mount Washington Cog Railway, in New Hampshire. Phenomenal. And I was actually able to sit there and watch the trains from my RV, and I thought that was the coolest thing.
Was the temperature already below zero there?
No, it wasn't too bad yet, but I have propane, so we were all set.
Because several times during the year, Mount Washington is the coldest part in the continental United States.
Yeah, and the highest wind speed of something like a negative or 200 miles an hour. It's unbelievable.
Did you take the railway up?
I did. Yeah, I took the railway.
Chug, right?
Chug. I mean, so at one point the railway is doing more than a 45-degree angle, I believe, and it's this old. It's been around since it's been around for over 100 years. It's unbelievable. It
tests gravity, I would say.
It certainly does, and it felt and if you're afraid of heights, maybe don't do it. But it was a lot of fun.
The windows open?
Yep. Yeah, I was leaning out. I had my camera. I was leaning out, taking pictures. It was quite the experience.
Yep. So one of our members, Joe Croto, is listen to that funny. He's a member. Can you see the comments down below on your screen?
Let's see if I click this button, what happens here? No, I can't see the comments. Those are just video.
So Joe is one of our longtime viewers, and hi guys from New Hampshire. He joined a couple of months back and was at the COG this past weekend. Joe, was 27 degrees above zero or below zero, Joe? Tell us. And we want to welcome Mark Polk from North Carolina, South Carolina. Mark, you in South Carolina? I think you're in North Carolina, but are you camping this weekend, Mark? Looked like on the website, on Facebook this morning, it looked like you were at your, not in your motorhome, but at your fifth wheel. And Dawn is with him as well. So somebody asked for the website, and Matthew should be able to see it, harvesthosts.com. And you know what? We're 10 minutes into the show. Let's tell them the super value that we've got. And then we're going to ask them to, he's going to send pictures. Joe's going to send pictures. Mark just got home. So see what I mean, Joel? I said, we have a live studio audience. They always have their hand raised. And I think it's one of the most unique shows in the country because of the format that we use, where people can actually ask you questions about your product. But tell us, you said $49, but I understand that there is a pending price increase, but viewers to this show have a special opportunity to join at a lower rate than $49. Tell us about what the deal is that you're going to offer.
So we actually created a coupon code for the show. It's NERVDA, so NERVDA altogether.
Which just happens to stand for New England RV Dealers Association.
Just happened to. It was just a stroke of luck that all worked out. So when you're checking out, on page 2 of checkout, you'll see a coupon code field. Put in NERVDA, and it'll drop the price by 10% to $44 a year. And the important thing is it locks that price in for life. So as long as you're a member, we don't raise prices on our existing members. And as John mentioned, and actually the little thing says, On January 1st, we are raising prices for new members to $79 per year. And that's to kind of keep up with the fact that we've doubled the number of hosts over the last couple of years and have not raised prices. But we don't raise prices on existing members. And so that's important to say. So if you are interested, sign up before the end of this year. Use NERVDA, $44, and it's locked in.
Now, I know it says it up there. It says rate never changes, but I think it's important to say that, and I know you said it already, but sometimes people are listening and they're thinking faster than they actually listen. It's not that you're just saving this year and next year. Your rate will not change as long as you continue to be a member.
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. And that's one of the ways we like to reward, our loyal members. And we've had members for 9 years. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I respect that. And I don't want to, I like to thank the people that supported us from, early on, so we don't raise prices.
So people can go to that Harvest Host website, and actually they can sign up right now when we're on the air and do that. But I think it's important to say that it's a little bit different than your cable company that will give you that lowball price, and then you turn around and get your bill 13 months later, and it's double what you thought you were paying.
Right.
And that promotional time period.
Right. Well, the other one that I wonder where my threshold is, but every year Netflix raises prices, seems like, right? They keep raising prices, and it's still, I get so much enjoyment out of Netflix. I don't blink an eye at the fact that prices have gone up on me, but I wonder how much I'd be willing to pay. And sometimes I wonder if Netflix came out tomorrow and said, the price is now $100 a month, I wonder. And at that point, I'd probably say no, but it must be hard for them. And I'm sure they have data scientists working around the clock to try to figure out that optimal price. But there's a price where they're losing money by not charging enough. And there's a price where they're scaring away people by charging too much.
Yeah, exactly.
So our approach is just don't raise prices on existing members. Much simpler.
Okay. And I just had another thought that was really good. And then my ADD kicked in and I just forgot what it was. But I'll think of it because I will. I'll just blurt it out. I'll probably interrupt you for something else. But, I know what it was. Here it is. So you join now before the first of the year. It's $44. Okay. And at least in the Northeast, you can't go to a campground for under $44 a night. In fact, I know that up in Maine, where Bob has his place, there are some campgrounds in Wells Beach that are getting $110 to $120 a night camping. Okay, for one camping fee. So basically, your year-long membership, you more than doubly pay for it. I don't know if that's the right word. Probably
you pay for it in one night. I mean, that is actually
one night, or you pay for it double the value of it in one night if you're talking about $85 or $95 a night, and you stay free.
Yeah.
Now,
well, and I think the other thing, it's more than the cost savings. That's a nice, it's nice that happens. The stories. So my wife and I traveled through all 48 US states and had a great time before we ever stayed at a Harvest Host location. And as soon as we stayed at Harvest Host locations, my stories started becoming so much more interesting. And it started with the first location I ever went to was an alpaca farm in Kansas run by 3 nuns in their 80s. And they were the most tremendous, they were just wonderful women. A beautiful farm. I got a massage, a wonderful massage from one of the nuns, some alpaca goods from another one. I've told this story 100 times now because I get such a kick out of that I went down a dirt road in Kansas and found 3 nuns who I think are just wonderful. That never happened to me in campgrounds. So for me, it's the experiences you get that are the most fun.
Well, you bring that up, and I just want to make sure because Dawn Polk is on with us. Dawn has been our guest for several times, and they have a vast following in their RV Education 101 program. But I just want to make sure you didn't have any alpaca stew or anything, did you?
No. We're both, because my wife's a veterinarian. We are actually both vegetarians. So we eat the fish because I can't give up sushi, but we don't eat many of the other animals.
Right. So basically, you will admit publicly your wife is a vegetarian veterinarian.
Yes. And I'll tell you, the mistake I've made is calling her a cute-atarian. She doesn't love that term.
A what?
Cute-atarian.
Oh, yes, I get it.
She doesn't love that. But the term I did learn that I liked, because we both eat fish, technically that's pescatarian. I like this term better, vegequarium. So we're both vegequarians. Mm-hmm.
If Zagami, I'll guarantee you, Zagami will be watching this on replay just to make sure that we didn't totally screw up the show. And he will have some comments down here.
He will, won't he?
I'm surprised that Dawn must have gone to the other room for just a second because I'm sure she will comment on that. We have a lot of comments about a good steak there we go. Yay, vegetarians. I love it. Okay. And she also works at veterinary clinic. She works at a spay neuter clinic. So,
nice.
Whatever it is, but nevertheless. So I need to tell you this one story about our particular thing. And if any of you else that are watching tonight have joined the program and been on, I know Joe talked about his trip up to Mount Washington, but the first night we stayed in Geneva, New York. We were leaving Massachusetts, heading out actually to the Winnebago factory. So we picked our spots along the way. And we stayed at the nicest place, and it was overlooking one of the Finger Lakes. And they invited us in. You call up. I mean, the process is you call or email the people because you're not going to be with 15 other motorhomes. Most of these places I've noticed have a limit on 3 or 4 units. We didn't get shut out anywhere. We were able to get all 3 places that we went.
And usually you're alone. I'd say only a few times has there been anybody other than me at these locations.
Yeah. So 2 out of the 3, we had one other person with us, which was great because you get to meet. One of the things that I think everybody likes about camping is that you get to meet people from all over the place. And especially when you get out of New England or out of the area that you're from, it's even cooler because then you run into people from all over the country. Like this past summer, we ran into lots of Europeans that come over and rent for a month at a time, and they take all of August off or July off and August off. And, Americans squeeze all their vacation time into like one long weekend, and they say, "Oh, I got to get back to work." But Joe does say, Joel, tell them about lobster. You did have do you eat lobster? You do eat lobster.
Oh my goodness, yes, I love lobster. I couldn't. I could not go. That's. Yeah.
Let me tell them the Geneva story, and then you tell us about your New England story.
Okay.
With the lobster up in Bahaba. But we just met the nicest people. And when you go to the wineries, you have a totally different selection of wine than you would in a Trader Joe's or a liquor store or a wine store, because a lot of the wine is short production. And you can only get it there. It never makes it to the retail situation. And I think that was one of the things that my wife liked about it the most was that, you had some really cool wines. But you were up here.
And you probably met the proprietors, right? And got to know the people who actually make it. And that's a fun part of the experience.
Yeah. And even on the next night, on the Monday night, we were in Ohio because we were heading west. And the store is not usually open that day, but the owner came in and opened up the wine room and gave my wife 3 or 4 selections. And it couldn't have been nicer. I mean, they lived next door, but they could have said, just park there, you're on your own. But so by the second day, we had 6 bottles of wine in the motorhome. And when we went out to Iowa, we had plenty of wine that you wouldn't be able to get when we were out there.
Oh, there you go.
Talk about your lobster roll when you stayed up in Bahama and then Booth Bay.
Yeah. So when I went up, from Mount Washington, I then went to Bar Harbor, did Acadia, had wonderful hikes around there. I stayed at the KOA Oceanside, and I should say, from the get-go, I love campgrounds. I think they're a compliment to Harvest Hosts, not a competitor. I love KOAs, and I stayed right on the water. It was amazing. And actually, this campground did a fresh lobster bake each evening. And so you could go over and they would cook it for you right there. So one night I had an actual lobster, one night I had a lobster roll. Just fantastic. It ruins, I will say this, eating lobster in New England ruins lobster for me everywhere else in the country, because there's something about fresh lobster right out of the ocean that it tastes different. It just tastes different. It's sweeter. It's more supple. I don't know how to describe it, but it's it's one of those, I love eating it there, but then I can't eat it anywhere else for like 3 or 4 months. So that's my lobster story. And then I went to Booth Bay, and we actually have a host, the Booth Bay Craft Brewery in Booth Bay. Wonderful husband-wife team, and actually wonderful beer. And so it's worth noting, we've talked a lot about wine, but we also have hundreds of breweries, distilleries, cideries, and things that are not wineries. So if wine is not your cup of tea, weird analogy, then you can find a great brewery. And so I enjoyed Booth Bay, and then I was down to Boston for to catch up with some friends.
Mm-hmm. Because you did go to, we should say you did go to Babson.
Went to Babson College, in Wellesley.
Right here in New England. Yeah,
for it's funny how that worked. It was only 4 years, but I now consider New England just a part of who I am, and I think it's just a really special place. So I get back all the time.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've expanded a little bit. Now, when we talked to you in June, you had wineries and a few other attractions. But you've made a major acquisition. Tell us about that and how it can impact people who are watching us tonight.
Yeah. So Harvest Hosts now has, just Harvest Hosts, we have about 675 wineries, breweries, distilleries, farms, which include lavender farms, beef, honey farms, alpaca farms, organic farms. So a lot of farms. We have hundreds of farms. And then museums, interesting places, aviation museums, outdoor auto museums. I'm a terrible golfer, but I enjoy golf. And the reason is I always feel at peace on a golf course. They're always beautiful. Just like a winery, I like being on golf courses. And so I got to know the founder of RV Golf Club, Jim, and great guy. And we got to know each other over the course of a few months, and basically decided it made sense to purchase the company and roll the RV Golf Club into Harvest Hosts to expand our inventory and give our members an additional type of place to stay. And I think anyone who's been on a golf course can agree, like they're just really pleasant places to stay overnight. And so, yes, we just closed on this acquisition last month. And through the end of the year, we've made 329 golf courses available to all of our members for free, just to enjoy through the end of the year. And then we are actually, it's going to be part of a separate plan, kind of an upgrade plan called Plus Golf. So Harvest Hosts Plus Golf. The RV Golf Club is $99 a year historically. For our members, we're dropping that price to $27 a year as an add-on. And so if you are a member now, you should have probably gotten an email about adding that upgrade for $27. Same as our other price, that $27 is good every year. We're not going to raise that price on you.
You're ridiculous. Your price is too low. I mean, well, we talked before about Netflix. There's that amount that they can charge before people cancel. But I think there's almost a point that if the price is too low, people have a perception that there's no value with it. But yes, when you just look at the fact that you can park at a golf course, and I'm presuming that in deference to our friends down in the Carolinas, these are not mini golf courses. These are with the clown nose. These are real golf courses.
They're real golf courses, yes.
Yeah, private as well as public.
Yes.
Okay. So instead of it being a winery, you park in a golf course, that's right, which is usually a pretty good neighborhood, which usually has pretty good security, which usually has very good culinary options, whether it's just the the pub or fine dining. So effectively, I'm just thinking, and I'm not a big golfer, and I'm not a big wine guy either, but I like places to go in the motorhome. So effectively, you could show up at 3-4 o'clock with your reservation, go to happy hour at the pub, okay, maybe have dinner there, go back and stay in the motorhome, and the next morning, because golf courses start early, they probably have a breakfast and move on to your next trip, or play 9 or 18 holes and move on by noontime or 1 o'clock.
Yes, and actually, it's I appreciate you bringing this up, because many of our members are not golfers, and I think some of them were thinking you had to play golf when you stay at these courses, and you don't. So we have 329 courses that we've added to the program. Only 9 of those require a round of golf. So 320, don't require you do anything. So, but what we recommend is go have a dinner, right? Have a beautiful meal at the clubhouse. Go to the pro shop, maybe get some Christmas gifts. But you don't have to be a golfer. And on it's, when you're a member, you can view each page and it'll tell you what they offer, what kind of food they have, what the golf course is like, and then whether or not you have to play to stay. But again, only 9 of our courses require that.
Mm-hmm. So that's only a month old. So, one of the things that I'm going to suggest to our viewers, if you own a business, don't talk to Joel unless you want to sell it, because it seems like in the last couple of years, he's met 2 people and bought their business right out from under them.
No, we're not offering with them, in conjunction with them. No, okay. and I will say this. No, when not a hot is exactly right. I'm not a very hostile take. Look at that. I couldn't be mean if I wanted to. So the reality is I never expected to buy RV Golf Club. It's just, I get to know people and I really enjoy getting to know people. And as Jim and I got to know each other, it made sense. We found something that worked for him and worked for us. So if you are interested in selling your business, shoot me an email. I'd like to continue expanding. Anything that, it makes, anything we can add to our membership that makes our members happier, I'm all ears.
Now, it should be pointed out that you weren't the founder and you weren't the mastermind behind either of these programs, but you found them by utilizing them yourself. Give us your 30-second elevator pitch, Joel. What did you do prior to these 2 businesses?
Yeah, so I had founded a company called Storyblocks in Washington, D.C., and it's a stock media company. So we have 3 brands: Video Blocks, Audio Blocks, and Graphic Stock. And it basically, if you are a video editor, so our customers were a lot of television networks, productions, studios and stations. If you want like a skyline shot of Boston, you want that sun rising over the Boston, city skyline, you would go to Video Blocks and download that clip instead of having to send a whole crew to shoot it. And so that was the business I built. Had a great time building it, and then I sold part of it, a few years ago. And that's when my wife and I decided, hey, let's get out of DC and hit the road. And we started this trip, through all the states. And it really was one of those things where I learned about Harvest Hosts, fell in love with Harvest Hosts. And I just decided to reach out to Don and Kim Green, who are the founders, wonderful people. And they just built such a phenomenal program. So I just reached out and said, hey, I don't know if selling is in the plans at any point, but I'm a former entrepreneur. I've built a business, a membership business. I need something new to do. I'm bored. I think I could take this business, and apply some of the principles that I did at the old business and make this thing grow. And one of those things you've probably noticed as a member, I brought a couple of developers on. We rebuilt the apps. We've rebuilt the website. We're about to relaunch the back end of the website. So as a member, the front, you go to the website, it looks different, it's beautiful, but the back end's the same. But for the last 4 months, we've been rebuilding it, and we're going to launch that in the beginning of January. Much easier to find hosts, much easier to book hosts, to save hosts, to route plan. So we're really trying to bring more technology to the program just to make it easier. I mean, the basis of the program is find amazing, unique experiences while you're out on the road. But we're trying to bring the technology to it to make that as easy for you as possible.
And one of the interesting things that I've found is that by using 3 of the facilities that we used during that trip, one of them was basically a parking lot for the museum, for the Buffalo Bill Cody Museum on the Mississippi River. And the interesting story that you get, and I think everybody here that's watching is an RVer and they've got a story. But this crazy story is, we did not know that the next morning, that at 4:30 in the morning, it was going to be the start of a bass fishing tournament. And if anybody knows anything about bass tournaments, is that these guys, and guys, I'll say guys because it was mostly men that I saw, they show up in the middle of the night, show up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, put their boats in the water, and then at first light, they head out, and sometimes they go 10 miles away. They fish all day. They may have a beer or two, I don't know. Or in your case, Joel, they may have had some wine that they picked up at a local winery. And then they come back. But the story that, nudging my wife saying, what's going on? What's going on? I said, there's a boat. And she'd say, are you crazy? It's dark out. There's nobody in a boat. I said, look out the windshield of the RV. You can see at least 20 red lights and green lights or whatever colors they are on a boat. But if it wasn't for Harvest Hosts, I probably would have never stayed there. And of course, I would have slept till 7 that morning too. But there are those unique stories. I'm sure, and Joe wrote, look out KOA, but you're not really competing with them, right?
No, we're not. And in fact, I think I told you this when we were chatting earlier. I stay in a lot of KOAs because I like them. They're like campgrounds to me. They feel like an actual campground. The last KOA I stayed in on my trip back to Colorado, I pulled in and I drive a fifth wheel and it's wrapped in Harvest Host branding. So we're coming. And the owners of the KOA came out and they said, oh, we love Harvest Hosts. We're members. So even the owners of KOAs enjoy Harvest Hosts because, like I said before, it's a complement to traditional campgrounds, not a replacement. And actually, if we are going to replace one thing, it is the Walmart parking lot. Mm-hmm. I have never in my illustrious career of traveling through all 48 states for years stayed in a Walmart parking lot, and it's avoidable. And so I think that that's the competition. I just don't want people staying in these terrible parking lots when they can go stay at a winery or a brewery. And we're starting to hear more and more people getting harassed and kicked out of Walmart parking lots, by the way. I
saw a video tonight that said only about 50% of the Walmarts now. And Walmart is not the bad guy in this thing, but many times if they don't own the property, somebody owns the center. Yep. Now what a lot of places are doing, they're putting up those
bars.
Fences, the bars, yeah. If you're over,
turn your convertible into your RV into a convertible. I almost had a convertible fifth wheel driving through one of those in a Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. And you just don't see it because for whatever reason you're trying to check. You're looking around over to the garden shop to see if anybody else is there. We have stayed in Walmarts on several occasions. Again, when we're traveling, we don't need. I mean, I like to get to where I'm going. In our case, the journey is less important than the destination because we don't just wander. However, the only time we've been harassed in a Walmart parking lot was a manager came banging on the door at 10 to 7 one morning. But the thing I did learn is in Walmart parking lots, they're striped the parking spots are in yellow and white. And the yellow stripes are close to the store. The white stripes are where the employees park. And you can park there because they're farther away from the building. And the guy says, you're in the yellow here. You're supposed to be in the white. Huh. Get out of here, right? It was 10 of 7 in the morning. I mean, we were leaving and whatever. It's just
it's not pleasant, right? It's just not pleasant. So so skip the parking lot, stay in a Harvest Host location next time.
Now, do we want to tell our viewers about the affiliate program, how maybe they could be part of the deal?
Sure. So we have an affiliate program where you can give a 10% discount to anybody. So a lot of people share it on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram. And every time someone signs up using your link, you then get $10. And by the way, those we're actually going to increase those as we increase prices. So we'll give a 15% discount through affiliate links, and you will make $15 for every referral. And so the easiest way to sign up, and really the only way to sign up, is as a member. When you join as a member, you will automatically be sent an email link by this company, Referral Candy, and it will give you instructions on how to be an affiliate.
Mm-hmm. And as I look on the list of some of the people that are on right now, and some of the people that will join us, some of them are RVers with pretty significant followings. And here's the way. And I should also say that if I read it correctly, Joel, the person doing the referee, the person who joined,
I always get that mixed up too.
they get a discount, right? They get a discount
Right.
And you make some money on it. So
Yep.
you're helping somebody save while you're making some money on it
So
yourself.
there's a thing that I like, and I carry it over in everything, but it's the everybody wins, rule.
Right.
And so with this program, yeah, you're making money when someone signs up. And so that's, that feels a little weird until you then are able to give them a 15% discount. And so the fact that you're giving them a discount and then making money, everybody wins. That's what I like about it.
We should tell people, in case you've just joined us, folks, our guest during this show is Joel Holland, who is the owner and CEO and mastermind behind Harvest Hope.
That's a little generous.
Well, I'm just the holiday season. Wait a minute, it's the Christmas season. Okay, I got to tell you, I got to stop and tell you the story. Before you said Christmas gift, and I was going to stop you and say, Joel, we don't mind if you say Christmas gift, but we're getting so politically correct that people say, oh, you got to say holiday and blah 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 blah. Well, I was listening to actually it was a Kenny Rogers show last year. I worked with Kenny Rogers for many years, and he said he went into one of the stores on tour. And the person at the register said, have a nice holiday. And he said, well, what happened to Merry Christmas? And the teenager looked back and said, oh, sir, we were told that we can't say Merry Christmas. And you know what I'm going to say the same thing Kenny said. I'm going to say, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. So if you're looking for a great gift for the RVer in your life, I don't think there's any better gift that you could give them. Or give it to your spouse. Okay, give it to your spouse. The gift of the Harvest Host thing. And
we do we have gift memberships. If you are interested, if you go to harvesthost.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, you'll see a link, gift a membership. And it's a good setup. You can buy the membership. We'll send you a code that you can then either print or we give you a little template to print it on and give that to someone. And the membership does not activate until they actually enter that code into the website. And then they have 365 days from that point to enjoy it.
Okay. And then they've got, they would think of you every time they go camping.
That's right. And yeah, they would buy you a bunch of bottles of wine. Really, you win buying them the gift. You're going to get so much wine back.
It's like the wine. It's like the wine of the month club, right?
It is.
If people go camping once a month, they feel obligated to buy one from you.
So one of the things I enjoy doing, and you'll probably see me on the road, but I went to the the big Hershey show this last year.
You must have just missed you.
You did. You literally just missed me. So I was late in signing up, so I couldn't get a booth, and I could barely get a spot at the Hershey campground. So what I did was, I was only there for like 2 or 3 nights. I threw a party. And so I basically, anybody I ran into, I sent it out, said, hey, I'm going to throw a party, a Harvest Hosts party. And I grabbed all the bottles of wine I'd been purchasing. And I had this amazing variety of wines. And we threw quite a little party in that Hershey Park camp, in my park camping ground spot. It was nice. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do that in the future is my point. If you find me on the road, I always have bottles of wine and I'm always happy to share.
I think the Polk stayed at that particular park. I know they were there for like a whole week. In fact, they were running from the law. They weren't running from the law, but at the time Hershey was going on, that big tornado, the hurricane was coming up the coast, and they couldn't go back home. What happened was they had to wait there until the waters subsided to get back there. But you were at the same park. So you guys might have been there at the exact same time, Mark Polk. Did you see a big purple fifth wheel come in with vegetables and wine?
And lots of lights. I put lights all over it. I had, I put this big flagpole on it with this red, white, and blue strobe. We put lights out front. I mean, I really made quite a scene, but a fun scene. No, I was going to say, I was amazed. I thought at some point a park employee might come over and ask me, what was going on, but we weren't loud. I mean, it's not like I was blasting music. And so, I ended up meeting a couple of the park employees and gave them a couple drinks, and we were great.
Okay. So my question is, that's really a form of guerrilla marketing, right? It's not traditional marketing. Yep. Were you able to see if any memberships came from that?
Oh yeah. Actually, I think we sold probably 50. I mean,
Okay.
like a lot, because what ended up happening was it might have been more because we were sitting beside Travado, a whole user group of Travados,
Right. Right.
and
Young people.
yeah, and they all came over one night to the party, and then they went and dispersed, and they told everyone else in their like caravan about the program, and yeah, and so it was, yeah, definitely paid for itself, but it was more than that, just a lot of fun.
Well, Joel, you bring up a very interesting thing and talk about marketing. In fact, I just read this interview tonight that Travado is Travado and Revel, the two Class Bs, are the fastest growing segment of the industry. But the Travado people are interesting because that's only been out for 2 or 3 years. And when we were at the Winnebago Rally in July, when we were on our Harvest Host trip, they had like 3 rows of people. And they were young, they had young kids with them, and they were not your traditional campground visitor, okay? And what Winnebago has done is brought a whole new group of people into RVing. And I don't know if you guys here, Dawn or Mark, have seen, many of the Travado people or anybody that's here right now. But I think you'll admit that they are not the people that are going to buy the 40-foot diesel pusher. These are people that may never, as the story said, they may never go to a campground at all, but they may enjoy hiking during the day and winerying. There's a new word for it. I just made a new verb.
Yeah, winerying.
And, relaxing at the winery.
So this brings up an interesting conversation. So my wife and I have had this fifth wheel now for about 5 years. We were one of the first to purchase a Grand Design, the first year that came out in 2014. And we love it. We love it. But we always talk about, what's the next rig going to be? And for the longest time, we thought it might be a Class A. As I've started to see these Class Bs, I'm reconsidering, because the Class Bs, while I think they're very expensive, you can go anywhere.
Yeah,
right. You can go anywhere.
They're expensive.
They're expensive, but you can go anywhere. And,
right.
and I don't know that I could spend a ton of, I spend 6 months out of the year in my fifth wheel, but it's big, right? The slides come out, I sit by the fire. It's like, I'm comfortable, no cabin fever. I think I would get a little restless if I was in a Class B for too long. But on the other hand, the places you could go and just park. I mean, so, I'm here, in Colorado, and I see people parking at the ski slopes in the main parking lot in their Class Bs, and they spend the night, because if you stay overnight, it's $25. What do you do? They're right at the ski slopes overnight in a Class B, which you could not pull off, obviously, with an RV.
Right. Now, one probably the most famous Class B RVer in the entire United States was, you were his guest last week when you were on with Mike and Jennifer Wendland. And what they do, and they've got a Road Trek, and they promote Road Trek, et cetera. But what they do to get rid of, the tightness of the RV is they have a Planet Fitness membership, and they've got the gold package, so that when they go around the country, they stop at Planet Fitnesses and do their workout, but they also have shower facilities. So, which is pretty interesting. I think it might be $100 a year or whatever it is, but they've got clean shower facilities, and they've got the capability to stay physically fit.
That's smart. Yeah, that's a good approach.
Way to do it.
That's a good one.
Lauren asked, do you travel with animals?
Oh, yes. So we have, and again, remember, my wife's a veterinarian, so this is not as weird as it seems, but we have
your best friend by the end of the show.
we have 2 cats and 2 ferrets. And when I first started dating my wife years ago, she had a cat, and I never considered myself a cat person because I didn't grow up with cats. I grew up with dogs, and so I always told her, I'm a dog person. And what I learned as she brought more and more animals home is that I'm not a dog person or a cat person. I'm just an animal person. And so, as you know, I fall in love with all of them. The ferrets are hilarious. I don't know if any of you have had ferrets before or seen ferrets. They are just these little tiny, adorable creatures that run around. They're playful until they fall asleep. And then they sleep for like 18 hours and they're back up, and they're such troublemakers. They run around our house. They love to steal socks. And so they'll find a way to climb in our drawers, and they'll one by one take every single one of the socks in that drawer, and they'll go and they ferret them away, and they'll go hide them in a closet.
Well, ferret is a verb and a noun.
Yes, and so you've probably seen it. It's like I'm reading this book right now that was written in the 40s, and they use the term ferreting away,
Right.
and that comes from ferrets. They steal things, they go and hide them, and it's really funny because we'll come across a stash. Like I was in the heater closet earlier today, and I found a stash of like 30 socks, a pile of them they thought they had hidden from me. And I don't know, there's just something cute about them. So
Dawn, there you go. Whatever. So, and Joe says, we have friends that had a fifth wheel and now have Travados. So, and Dawn, look at a Farrah Fawcett ferret.
That's awesome. I can see the comments.
Ferret. Farrah Fawcett ferret. Very good. Very good, Dawn.
So Dawn, our second ferret we named elongated muskrat, but you call him Elon Musk for short.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're really Teslaing me with that. Etc. Boy, I'll tell you, we got a bunch of budding comedians here. Nobody's any good. Joe Croto thinks that Mike and Jennifer are anytime fitness people. I don't know. It could be anytime, but could be Planet. It's one of the chains. And if you know the chains, they're interesting because they've got all these different plans, but they're open 24/7 and they're generally clean. So if we ever downsize, I've thought of doing that same type thing. So Dawn goes, oh, John. Oh, John. Okay. So whatever.
He just doesn't get it, Don. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand us.
So what we always tell people, I always forget to just about this time to tell people, look, we are appreciative of you as a live studio audience, but the only way we can continue to get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10,000 views per week is through you, our live audience. When you are watching it right now, if you would take a second just to look at the bottom of your screen, whether you're on a laptop or a cell phone or just hit share. And there's probably some groups that you belong to. And we've got people from all over the country share it. And then we get the greatest comments. And we should tell people that if they have a question, we monitor this for a week or 2 weeks. And if there's questions, then we send them answers. So it's not just a live audience that gets to see these, but whatever. And Joel, it's interesting that so many people that are making a living in the RV industry ain't RVers. But the fact that you've done would probably has anybody else in this audience been to the 48 contiguous states? You know, it's
fun.
I don't know. We'll see.
It's fun. I mean, but I do agree with you. So I've been starting to go to a lot more of the RV shows, mm-hmm. and I'm constantly amazed and a little disappointed at how many executives I meet that don't RV. Like, to them, it's a product, but what better way to sell a product than to understand the product? So and by the way, it's a fun product. Like, I get it if you're if you're a pork john salesman,
like a neck brace or a cap.
Exactly right. Like precisely, but it's an RV. I think everybody needs to try an RV, especially if you sell RVs.
Yeah. Well, and especially when it stands for recreational vehicle, it means go out and have some fun.
Oh my goodness.
Rami will tell you stories that when he was editor of RV News, he would deal with many more presidents. And he went to one president of a major company and said, hey, why don't we do this? We'll get a couple RVs and we'll go to a campground for the weekend or a day or whatever it is, and just listen to what people have to say about our particular brand. And the president looked at him like he was crazy. I don't use these things. I just make them. I mean, isn't that ridiculous?
It's ridiculous. And it just doesn't make sense. I don't get it.
Yep. Dawn says it. Marlene, did you just buy, or were you a member before? Marlene, Kemmerer, or Cardi? I don't know where you're from, Marlene. Tell us where you're from, and tell us if you're a brand new member. And because Marlene just said just join. She might have been the person that wrote the Nike ads for just do it. Just join. So Marlene, tell us where you're from.
Yeah, and while we're waiting for that, this whole chat about RVs got me thinking about one of our other hosts is the RV Hall of Fame, uh,
Yep.
in,
Right.
in Elkhart, Indiana.
Right.
And it is a really fun place. And I recommend anybody listening, if you have not been there, you can go and park right in front of the museum, stay overnight. So it's a very well set up. And the museum is fascinating. I mean, they have RVs going back to the early 1900s, and it just, you'll be there for hours. It's one of the coolest places.
Yeah, we did that same trip. I think Daryl was the GM, but he took us through. And you see the old ones and how they're put together. And you can, in fact, and for those of you that are in New England, it's right off Interstate 90. So you don't even have to make a turn. Just drive, get on in Boston and drive 1,100 miles. And it's right there on the left. I forget what the exit is, but you can't miss it. And they've got some big plans there. They're going to put a giant campground, a rally field there.
Nice.
Down in right next to it. And that's all done. And Dawn, I guess Dawn's been there as well. Just joined from Colorado. Now Marlene is very happy that the wineries, that the breweries are included. Because wouldn't you say, Joel, in your research that there are beer people that might not be wine people, and there are wine people that might not be beer people, and
there's people like me that are wine, beer, and spirits people, and so we've got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, exactly. So let's tell people one more time where they can go to what do you call it, to join. And as soon as I can find this here on my agenda, there we go. There's our magic there. Harvesthost.com. So the deal is this, folks. Right now it's $49. Okay. It's going up to $79 on January 1st. If you join, Joel, stop me if I do anything wrong on this here. But if you join now, not only you'll save what, 10%?
Yep, 10% drops the price to
$44. Mm-hmm. So I think I made a slide up earlier. 44 versus 79. That is a good savings. And just put the promo code NERVDA, NERVDA, not Nevada. It's NERVDA, which stands for New England RV Dealers Association. And when you join at that rate, you're locked into that rate forever, or next month. Do it this month so that
do it before prices go up. Yep.
Right.
Because we don't raise prices on existing members, and so if you lock it in now, you're good for as long as you stay a member, and we won't raise prices on you.
Yep. Joe says that country music, not the Country Music Hall of Fame, but the RV Hall of Fame is on her bucket list. Distilleries. Okay, so she must. Is there distilleries on the list too?
There are, yeah. In fact, so here in Colorado, so we live, in Vail, and so one of the distilleries down the street from us in Cerro, I approached them and I was like, "Look, you have this beautiful property, wonderful spirits, and a barn. Like, you got to be a part of the program." And so now, next time you come through Vail, you're taking 70 to Denver or going to Glenwood Springs, come stay at the distillery, and you'll have a great time.
Yep. And
then I see Joe say he's an IPA guy. I don't know if you heard this earlier, Joe, but the Booth Bay Craft Brewery is one of our hosts up in Booth Bay, Maine. It's phenomenal, and they're known for their IPA. It's an award-winning IPA. I was skeptical because everyone says they have an award-winning IPA. It was phenomenal. So you got to check that out.
Yeah, it's funny here because I look and I see Tim Waterhouse's name here. I like my Class A in my own shower. Okay, Tim, no problem. But one of the things that Tim and I were supposed to hook up, we've never met in person, but we were supposed to hook up this summer because as part of the trip for the Winnebago rally, we were also going to stop at this big airplane convention up in Wisconsin. Tim, was it in Wisconsin? Yeah, I think it's Wisconsin. What's the town? It's what's the town? But anyway, they got what is that town, Tim? Write down what that town is in Wisconsin. But they got kind of flooded with some heavy rains. And Tim said everybody here is stuck in fields. So we never made Oshkosh. There we go. So Marlene knew. And oh, there we go. Gosh. So we're gonna have to try to get there this year coming up.
Yeah. And also I noticed Tim and Don brought up a really good point, which is if you don't drink, and we've talked a lot about drinking and that's all well and good, but if you don't drink, as Harvest Host, still a good thing to join. And intentionally, and this goes back to the founders, Don and Kim, they did a great job of making sure that always 50%, at least 50% of our locations are not alcohol related. And so of the current 675, about 300 are wineries, maybe 300 and change when you put in breweries and distilleries. But the others are these really cool farms and museums and locations that are not at all alcohol related.
Wow. So Tim, we want to, not Tim, so Joel, we want to also let our audience know that the Boston RV show is coming up, just like a month, January 18th through 21. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's Martin Luther King weekend. I think if you go to the website right now, you can get a discount on the tickets. But we'll be there then. And Joel, we were going to give away a membership tonight.
Yes.
Which I almost forgot. How do you want to do that?
I was just gonna ask you how you want to do that. I have the power to give it away. You got to figure out who gets it.
Exactly. I think what we're going to do is this. We'll wait a couple days and then we'll pick some of the people that write a good comment down. So folks, you got to write a comment. Well, here, we're making these rules up as we go. It's kind of like, the way I've spent most of my business career. Make it up as you go. Tell us. Okay, here we go. Then write this down, folks. Write suggestion down in the comments and tell us where you'd like to see a facility that you're aware of or a geographic area or a type of business that you'd like to see at Harvest Host's approach to be part of the program. Is that a good one, Joel?
I like that. Yeah, that's because actually most of our new hosts come from member recommendations. So that's very helpful. Right.
And show ticket giveaways. Yeah, we're going to do the show ticket giveaways. Tagami's doing that because he took all the show tickets with him. He took all the comps with him. He's got them down in either Pennsylvania or New Jersey. And he wouldn't let me do that. So we will give away show tickets. And we'll give away a Harvest Host Pass. And Joel, any final words that you want to mention to our viewers all over the country, including Colorado?
Yeah, no, well, I appreciate
orchards. Okay.
Orchard. We do have orchards. We have a number of orchards. We have you pick farms. We have we have pumpkin patch facilities. We have Christmas tree farms. It really is. There's a little bit of everything. But no, thanks for having me on. I think the last thing I would leave you with, unrelated to Harvest Hosts, kind of, but I love hearing stories. I love hearing stories about RVing, right? Like weird experiences you've had, bad experiences, good experiences. Earlier, John was telling me about his wife. You might do it better justice than I, but hiding in a bathroom with like a parrot and a goat, right?
Yeah.
And because of a tornado.
Because there was a tornado warning, they put him into the shelter.
Right. And I love stuff like that. I love these stories. And I'm thinking about starting a podcast for Harvest Hosts where it's just a very simple thing where we just tell stories. We just have people come on and tell us some of their most unique things that have happened to them RVing. And I'll start the podcast and I'll create the show if we get some good suggestions. So if you leave it in the comments or send me an email, it's just joel@harvesthosts.com. That's probably better. Send me an email saying, hey, I have a really cool story I'd like to tell you. Okay. And if I get enough of those, I think it'd be really fun to start a little podcast around RV stories.
Hey, we were going to go, but I did see a comment here that John Sanders, who was a first-time viewer, I've never seen his name before. I don't drink alcohol. I don't want to pick grapes. I don't want to buy souvenirs. Why should I use Harvest Host? I can tell him the answer to that, but you tell him.
But no, I kind of want to hear your answer.
Well, because you'll find a unique place to go. And I started to say this before, but again, somebody wrote a question that was better than what I was going to say. These facilities that we've seen are in very unique locations that if you're traveling from point A to point B, you probably wouldn't stop on your own. And then the little towns that are connected to the wineries are cool little. This is really America, folks. if you want to not see America, spend all your time on the interstate highways, because you could be blindfolded and be in Augusta, Maine, or in Golden, Colorado on an interstate highway. Folks, you ain't going to know where the difference of where you're at. But if you want to really see it, get off the highways and into the small towns where Americans are still Americans and everybody is friendly, and they wave to you and blah 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 blah. Harvest Host would give you that opportunity.
That's right.
Was that
That's
a good?
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. I mean, that's it. You get to see real America. I think that's what we provide. And the example is, I had driven through Kansas so many times on Interstate 70 between the East Coast and the West Coast, and I realized one day that I had no full appreciation of what Kansas was. To me, Kansas was an interstate highway, and I felt terrible about that. And so now I've gone and I've stayed at that alpaca farm I mentioned. I've stayed at a winery run by a wonderful husband-wife team that has had this farm in their possession since the 1920s. And I didn't go for the wine. I went for the experience. I went to meet a really nice couple, to see a really cool property, and just to enjoy a nice evening. So yeah, that's what it's all about. It's the experience. It's not the product.
Exactly. I just want to say something here so nobody takes it the wrong way. I just said, where you go out to the middle of America where Americans are still Americans. That is not a political statement. It's got nothing to do with what's going on in the country right now with blah, 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 blah. I just said it out of excitement and enthusiasm for the program, which really, we had fun in Geneva there was Geneva, New York. And then the next day we were in Geneva on the Lake, New York. And the crazy thing is, we have a granddaughter named Geneva. So we took a bunch of pictures with Geneva, and she loves it. She's got pictures all over her wall with names of her name. But without Harvest Host, we wouldn't have been able to find that. And, Joel, we want to thank you so much for promoting this program, making it available to the masses. And Dawn Polk, don't share it until you become an affiliate. Don't share the program to your RV 101 people until you become affiliate. And generate some fun with it. So with that being said, we want to let you know that next week we've got another show, which is the 19th. I forget who we've got. Bob's got them booked. It's a great show. I know that. And in the couple weeks coming up, we're going to be talking to our dealers who are going to be promoting what's going on at the Boston show. And right after the first of the year, we've got a super special guest, which I'm just going to tease you about, not tell you anything more, except to tell you that this has been RVing in New England. My name is John DePietro. Bob Zagami will be back next week. Merry Christmas, everybody, and have a great day.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.